The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlersmart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roto Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning, guys. How's it going? It is just me today, me, myself, and I. We're repping the Anthony Simonson No Comment shirt. You can buy that on coolwick.com. Use beefstew10 for a little discount. But I figured I'd just come on and I'll just answer some questions for a while, and we'll see how it goes. Interesting weekend tournament wise. Dio Bernard ended up winning the regional up in Fort Sill. I didn't really pay much attention to anything else. The Nightmare Doubles is coming up this weekend. So we shall see what's going on. Frequent friend of the show, Adam, happy birthday, mate. 30 already. Wow, you're getting old, mate. Good morning, Doc Holiday. I'll come back to your question in a second. How's it going, Clifton? Hi, Tyler. Yeah, the phase 5 got discontinued. Yeah. Very sad to see it getting. What do you think? What did you all think about it? And if you can get one, should I get one? I actually preferred the phase 4 to the phase 5. If you get a good deal on one, I get one. But there's so many more balls coming out in that range. We've got the new TNT infused. Belmo's ball's going to come out eventually. So, if you can get a good deal on one, I wouldn't pay a premium for one. Morning, John. Gabriel, what's going on? Joe, nice to see you. All right, Paulie. Hey, Christian. My new center just switched to a much slicker oil, not more volume, just significantly slicker. Any technical or arsenal recommendations over Pro Anvilane surfaces? If you're on that, slow ball speed's obviously going to be the best thing to try. But if not, maybe try a little more surface. Try to figure out where the wet dry cliff is, because if it's on a house shot, there's still going to be friction. So maybe it'll just be a case of just needing to play a little closer to the friction. Surface can be your friend, and maybe some of those stronger balls you haven't been able to use, you will be able to use. So that's just a couple of things I would suggest going with. Let us know. Okay, Doc, you said, question about spares, perhaps advanced tips, specifically the 10-pin for righties. Should the release be the same as your strike release, or should that change? What your target should be, etc. Okay, I like throwing over about 23 at the arrows, 22 at the arrows for the 10-pin. I changed my release, but it depends on what you can repeat consistently. And also how high your rev rate is. If you've got a super high rev rate, then you're going to want to change your release. If your rev rate's a little low, you can probably get away with it as long as you use like a dedicated like plastic ball or a mix or something like that that's going to go, fairly straight. So that's kind of the thing for me. If you bowl on a short pattern, or you bowl on something where there's a lot of friction in the middle lane, like wood lanes, I actually shoot across 15, because I feel like if I get too far left, throwing across the lane is bad, because if it checks a little bit, it gets offline, and then you can miss them, and then it becomes a little bit, is it going to hook? Isn't it going to hook? Because it's really just playing that front part of the lane and whether it will hook. So I move a little further right when the lane surface is bad or if we're bowling on a short pattern, because it makes it a little less likely for the ball to check and get offline. And even if it does, you're not quite as far away from the pin, left to right wise. So that's a couple of things I think about when I'm shooting the 10 pin, for sure. Morning, Michael. What's going on? Well, if you got your fingers behind your thumb, that might help. Don't have your elbow flare out. That doesn't help either. So more forward roll, Gene. More forward roll. Or just throw the urethane. No problem, Christian. Anytime. Sure, Adam. Yeah, send them over. Did you get the white ones or did you get the black ones? Morning, Kirk. So when I start my approach, I just look at the foul line and not down the lane. How can I start looking down the lane for adjustments? Been bowling 30 years. That's a difficult one. For me, I look pretty close when I release it, but as I'm going down the lane, I'm kind of like my eyes will start further down the lane and then they'll come towards me. Yeah. So do you need to, if you're averaging 220, do you need to start looking down the lane? I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thanks, Buff. I appreciate it. Hey, Chris, where are you driving to today? Oh, you got the black ones? Okay, nice. Yeah, I got the white ones. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I have no idea, Tyler, to be honest. Not 100% sure. So there's Chris. He's in the Outer Banks. So wherever that is. I think he's in Carolina somewhere. Nico, good morning. Are you going to upload Chris's videos recorded? I'm interested to hear his thoughts on the balls. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. He's got the ones on the blackout and the other one. What was the other one? The pie. So yeah. Thanks for motivating me. I've got to get a haircut and then I'll get them done this afternoon. I'll get back onto it. I just hate editing. It just fucking pisses me off. And I don't even really edit either. I just sort of clip. I grew up watching the PBA tour on the sense and don't ever remember Greek church or pocket 710s. Is my memory faulty? I mean, pocket 710s obviously existed. But I think the thing is like the Greek church is definitely a leave that is left by there being more angle. And of course, they had very little angle back in the 60s and 70s, just because the way the lanes were and the balls were and the rev rates. So I think that the Greek church is more of a modern leave. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe email tech@stormbowling.com and they can help you out. They'll direct you about what the warranty is and everything else. So I don't know is the answer. I did both. I used it out of box and then I shined one also. It didn't have as much of a positive effect when I shined it as it did with the Axiom. It kind of just made it a nothing ball when it was shiny for me. I think it was actually much better. It was much better when it was dull, to be honest. A meter reader in Florida. Okay. Well, there you go. Learn something new every day. Floating lasagna creature. Well, there's a name. Is the high road still used a lot on tour? No. I rarely see one out in the wild during league and amateur tournaments with security is why it's still made. I I mean, I feel like they still sell them. They're still on the walls in pro shops and stuff. I'm pretty sure if they weren't selling them, that they wouldn't exist. So, yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I'm not privy to the sales numbers, nor do I really want to get involved with that. But yeah, I don't think that Storm are still making it in the catalog for Vanity. So yeah. Hey Glenn, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate you. Magic or reality for number one ball on house? Right now, still the reality, but I think both of them are a little strong maybe for a house shot, unless you bowl on a kind of a slicker pattern. Like for me, the Magic Gem is terrible at Highland where I bowl in town in Austin, but it actually rolled pretty good last week at Mel's where they have a little more oil in the front part of the lane. Like I say, right now, reality, but the Magic is a shape, a shot, kind of a shape, a ball shape that I like. I feel like the Magic is probably the closest thing I've seen to the reality so far out of the big balls that we've had. So yeah, it's Magic is definitely coming up on the rail, so to speak. Hey, Michael. It says, can you speak on the difference between Pro Anvilane and SPL, how age affects each surface, and how you might approach bowling on one versus the other? In general, SPL is a softer lane surface, so the ball hooks earlier on SPL than it does on Pro Anvilane. So, to be honest, as the surfaces get older, SPL can often be a little higher scoring because the back part you can just use speed. For the guys who have a lot of ball speed, the you can kind of just use speed and you'll still get a lot of hook down lane. For me, Pro Anvilane, once it gets kind of older and scratch, can be kind of awkward because it's really the front part of the lane that gets really beat up and the back part of the lane isn't as beat up. So you often see where you feel like the ball checks a lot, but then if you use a lot of speed, it won't hook down lane. So to me, that's the biggest difference with when those two surfaces get older. SPL, I can nearly always use a lot more speed to like conquer the issues, whereas with the Pro Anvilane, it's kind of a more of a ball solution rather than a speed solution. So I hope that makes some sense. Hey, indie gaming styles. Hey, Stu, love your live sessions. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm slightly rev dominant with medium speed and currently use Zen Soul as my benchmark. Okay. For me, Zen Soul and Phase 2 are very like interchangeable. I also have a hybrid 2.0. I'm guessing that's the Black Widow and a camo. Suggestions for a new ball. Slightly rev dominant. Well, I would pick something below the Zen Soul to fit in between the camo because I would think that the hybrid 2.0 is your stronger ball, then Zen Soul, then camo. So I would pick something in between. Something. I mean, if you really like the Zen Soul, the gold label might be a good option. Or a Revenant. Something in that gap is where I would fill between the Zen Soul and the camo. There you go. There is sightings of the high road. Someone just threw 300 with one last night. Highland Lanes, yeah. Oh, the Columbia 300 out. Yeah. CK Moore 300 and a victory on his first show. Did I see Daria versus Belmo video on the DNA call? I actually did, yeah. Did you think that Daria seemed a little salty in that match? Belmo, I think Belmo was out there for what seemed like a good time, and then Daria started getting a little chirpy, and I think he got a little bit his focus level went up a little bit when she started chirping at him. So it seemed like a bit of a fun video. The prize at the end was kind of shitty, but overall it was, yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun video. That place looks really cool. I wish I'd actually got to go and visit that place. The ginseng. So yeah, that the Thunder Lanes looks like a very cool place. So Gasson shot 843 with the Magic. Yeah, I mean Gasson can use those super strong balls in league all the time. He's for a guy who doesn't bowl that much, he's a pretty solid player. About how many extra feet in length would you expect with polish versus dull ball reality, for example, for someone with average speed? At least a couple of feet. When I shine a ball, I'm kind of often looking to see to see it change direction a little harder, more than it be skid more. So it does skid more, and that creates the more angular down lane. But when I'm shining it, most of the time I'm looking because I want a quicker response down lane. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. I think there's rumors that one might be coming stateside, so we'll see. I don't know. I haven't had any confirmation, but yeah, we'll see. So King Sniper 2K says, how to hook a bowling ball playing further left. I bowled on a 42-foot league shot. I bowl at Country Lanes in Farmington. What are you struggling with? Do you not have enough rev rate to play that far left, or you can't get your body lined up for the angles? For me, when you bowl on the house shot, as you move left, you're still going to have to keep your break point fairly far right, because that's where the friction is, and you're only moving left to find oil in the front part of the lane. So the keys for me are to keep the ball far enough right, increase rotation and lower speed. They're always the keys to making the ball hook more. Nice. Very nice. 878. That's a big set. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, she was mad over the food. Yeah. I'm sure Belma would have let her have it. He didn't seem too impressed by it. Bowling the Northeast Tat in a month, looking for a big ASIM. What would you suggest, Supernova versus Gem? For me, I've seen more people have success with the Gem than the Supernova. Neither of those two are 100% my favorites. I use a reality in that gap. But I've seen a lot of people have success with the Gem. All right, Adam, what we got? Gold Label, Phase 2, IQ Ruby, Exponent are going to be the balls I'm going to use most of the time. What do you think about that, Beef Stew? Sounds like a solid combination, Adam. You might need a stronger ball in there, maybe your reality. Mikey V shined the Magic Gem for his ball review. Okay, cool. I mean, you kind of got to not shine it for the first one so people have some idea of what it does. Yeah. I mean, you got the whole Dolby shiny type thing. Yeah, so then if you're being forced to move left, then you're going to need to use like a slower ball speed and try and rotate it more. Yeah, then the Gem would probably be a good option. Smoother. So yeah. I mean, it's very difficult without being on the lanes to explain this. There's like a million videos on YouTube on how to hook a bowling ball, but principally it's how quickly you can get your hand from this position to this position and how quickly you can make that move. That's how you create more rev rate. But like I say, there's videos. J.R. Raymond's done one. Brad and Kyle have done several. I think Darren's done one that seems to be popular with YouTube at the minute. Mike Flanagan's got one up. Like there's a ton of them that you can check out. So probably going to be easier to do that than me sit here and try and break it down without having a ball in my hand and everything else. Mike, you have asked the it depends question of the day. If you want more length without more angle, should I change balls or hand positions? Speed. It all depends on what's going on with the lanes. There isn't really a, one day changing ball is going to be the answer. One day changing ball will be the answer. One day changing hand position will be the answer. One day changing speed will be the answer. For me, the biggest difference I can create to create different motions is with speed. Speed makes a bigger difference than almost anything else. The Aggie, you are back. Any suggestions for the 2021 PBA Alby 39 feet? Well, when we bowled on it, Urethane looked pretty good. I actually got to use the original IQ Tour on that pattern a little bit. Keeping the ball kind of a little straighter in front of me worked really well on that pattern until it kind of forced me left. And then once I got forced left, the Revenant looked really good for me. Medium kind of core weaker balls were really good for me on that. So I imagine the Exponent would have been pretty good as well. If you got a bit more speed, phase 2. But yeah, those type of balls in Urethane. And then once you get forced left, maybe a Ruby, you've got a chance. Revenant, Camo, no Camo, not the Camo, the RIP or the M&M from our side. They're the balls that they're the balls that I would look at for that. Any more questions? Let me know. Mark Boofer says, do you feel in today's game hand position was less significant of an adjustment? Will that change with the new Urethane ball? Pretty good question. Yes and no. So yes, I feel like overall that they have become less significant. But I think that that's because some of it's to do with the Urethane, but some of it's to do with just the fact that guys break the lanes down fairly similarly because they want to get to a point where they feel good. So hand position changes make a big difference on the fresh, but once the lane gets transitioned, especially per tournament, there's going to be one solution generally that looks really good for each player in the bowling center. So I don't think that you're necessarily going to spend a lot of time making small tweaks on the professional tour. I think that you're going to be making big moves and using kind of similar hand positions and just changing balls. Maybe it will change with the new Urethane rule because right now, higher rev rates, not getting the ball too far down the lane and having more rotation seems to be quite good. So the guys who can create rotation while still getting the ball to pick up seem to be doing really well. And that may be to do with the Urethane, but it may just be to do with the fact that they're the angles that the field kind of want to play regardless. So it'll be interesting to tell because I don't necessarily think that anybody really has any idea of what the new Urethane rules are going to create. I'm fascinated to see what the companies do ball-wise. to combat it. So yeah, we'll see. But interesting question. Thanks, Matt. Recommendation for when my infinite physics burns up on flat tens, but the Revenant is still too clean. The absolute is the answer there for me. I don't think Mikey polished it. He was comparing it to a polished gem. I didn't really watch very much of it. I think I watched him throw 2 shots and go, "Oh my god, this ball isn't very good for this." And then I was like, "Okay." The easiest way to get more hook would be to add more surface. Maybe. It's the easiest way to get earlier hook, not necessarily more. Sometimes more, but not necessarily. I don't really follow the NHL that much, but when I do, my Canadian friend has me cheering for the Canadians. So Frankie adopted Liverpool, so I adopted the Canadians. So it's our year. Okay. Then in that case, you're going to have to play around with like using more forward roll and then rotating your ring finger underneath the bottom of the ball to try and create more axis rotation. Hey Cody, how are you doing, mate? Hope you're feeling a little better. 3 months away. Do you see any patent tweets coming for the urethane rule change in January? I would think so, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Who knows? Regina, good morning. How are we doing? I have a virtual energy blackout. Not sure I like it. Tina says the same thing. But I didn't get to see her. Should I add surface? My reality check is currently my favorite ball on everything. Maybe just add a little bit, not a lot. Just crack the surface a little bit. Because what you got to understand is if your reality check is your favorite ball on everything right now, do you want to make the virtual energy blackout basically the same as your reality check so you'll use it more? Or do you want to have it so that when the time comes and your reality check isn't working? That's always the hard one for me. Because you obviously want to use your new ball, but you don't want to be in a situation where all your balls do the same thing so you can get to use your new balls all the time. So yeah, I would touch the serves a little bit on that blackout, but don't do it too much because you still want to create that strong down lane motion. Oh boy. Dysfunctional reality. What does this even mean? Eternity and beyond. Exponent, virtual blackout, magenta hustle. What do you think? I think you should switch your phone off, Chris, and have a good time with your friends. That's what I think. Personally, I think ball layouts are just important as surface and cores. Personally, I think you're crazy. Surface is always going to be number one. The cover stock and the surface is what's touching the lane, so that's going to be the most important thing. Followed by, I mean, if you want to split the core and the layout, then I think the core is more important than the layout. I think the layout's almost, it makes a difference, but it makes the least difference. I'm not saying it doesn't make any difference because that would be ridiculous. But what I'm saying is on a percentage while, I think that layout is tweaking the reaction. Yeah. But it's so relative as well. Like if you've got a really low diff ball, then the layout's going to be way less difference. And if you've got a super high differential ball, then the layout's going to make way more difference. So yeah, I think we can agree that the surface and the cover stock is going to make the biggest difference. And I put those together. So like if I hit a gem, if I have a shiny gem and a 360 grit plastic ball, the shiny gem is still going to hook more. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I think it's all dependent, but I would have the surface as the most important. Yes, I 100% agree with this. If the guy doesn't know what your access point is, just leave the shop. That's insane. Dogonor, thank you very much. If you're a two-handed high rev, is there a need to rotate the ball if you play left? Can you force the ball to go through the pocket with forward roll? It does seem like rotation is required on a house shot. The biggest advantage that two-handers have, other than clearing the thumb, is the fact that they create so much more power, so they don't need as much rotation. Rotation is something that helps lower rev rate players make the ball continue. And obviously, the higher rev rate players don't necessarily need that. So it's easier to keep the ball going on the line that you want if you're more behind it. And then it says, does seem some more rotation is required on house shots. Really, for two-handers and for me anyway, and high rev rate players, rotation's only required when the ball won't go through the pins. That's going to be your number one thing that you will see. So if you're like flat 10 and a lot, then you're going to see it more, needing more rotation. Yeah. Let's hope it was better than last year. Frankie was very depressed. How close? Hey, Christine, how close is the phase 3 and the Revenant? Not very close for me. The phase 3, super low RG, hybrid. The Revenant is high RG, Pearl. Yeah, those balls are quite a bit different to me. Revenant's much cleaner, much more angular than the phase 3. Did PBA release new urethane rules? Yeah, but they released it months ago, saying that they wouldn't, that they're going to make the urethane 78. So yeah. Martin, Vemadu, I think that's right. Slightly rev dominant right-hander. What do you lose for low volume house shots? Weaker drilled big balls is not the answer. No. For lower volume house shots, I like the hustle range quite a bit. The hustle rip is pretty good. The hustle ink was obviously the ultimate favorite for a long time, but like I really like the hustle range. The burners are also pretty good in that spot. So yeah. For me, with you being slightly rev dominant, I wouldn't want to go to something like a Revenant, because I think that that's going to change direction too hard, especially on something that's a little more cliffed. I think that the shiny, solid cover on the rip gives you a kind of more of a happy medium. Yeah, well, there you go. Someone says, Mark Barker, shouldn't you be working? Layouts, make sure it doesn't roll over my thumb. Well, okay. Surface 60%, core 25%, layout 15%. Yeah, I guess that's, I mean, I might even be the surface is 70%, but yeah, definitely an option. I agree. The only difference with layout is if the pin up or pin down, but that can always be tweaked with surface adjustments. Yeah, but I mean, like if you drill like a 3-inch pin and a 6-inch pin, you're going to see a pretty big difference. So thanks, Teresa. If you have a question, let me know, but I appreciate the tip. Can an absolute fill the spot of a reality? No, not really. Yeah, no. Even with surface, yeah, no, I don't think so. Seems like your high-speed strategy is best for strong asymmetrical pearls like Eternity, Exotic Gem, and DNA coils on house shots. Otherwise, they dig too soon in the mid lane and then shoot left. Oh, you mean for when using those asymmetrical pearls, using more speed is better? Yeah. I mean, I haven't had a massive amount of success with the Eternity or the Exotic Gem. The Absolute, on the other hand, though, I feel like is really, really good. For me, anyway. Steven's agreeing on the hustle for the dry house shot. Good morning, Mark. Nice to see you again. Hey, Steven. Okay, so speed dominant senior, 14 to 16 miles an hour. Using Exponent and Ruby. Wash out with ASIMs a lot. What do you think about the Pi? It sounds like if you're washing out a lot and you're using the Exponent, the Ruby, that the ball's burning up too much. So if you're going to go with a Pi, maybe consider going with a weaker pin to pap. Maybe try a 5.5-inch pin. I know with you being speed dominant, that might seem strange, but it seems like if you're washing out, most of the time it's going to be because the ball burns up and just not hooking enough because it uses its energy too soon. So that would be my biggest concerns. I think the Pi is a good option for a strong ball that's not like the strongest thing in the world. I think it's a nice step down from the super strong balls like the Gems and the Realities. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what you should do. Any tips on how to reset, refocus quickly after a bad shot, kick something? Yeah, I mean, I'm not allowed to say that, but yeah, I mean, you've just got to get that frustration out. Take a deep breath, like just maybe go to the bathroom. Just try and like break it up a little bit. Get the bad juju, get that bad piss out of you. When you're on a 10 bagger, you're never going to want to go to the toilet. But, if you start having a couple of bad frames, maybe force a piss and move on. I mean, seriously, though, it's like you just got to figure out what works for you. But it's all about finding a way to just get away from that moment. So that, like I say, that could be to walk down in league and have a chat to one of your friends and then walk back and refocus in and start again. But if it's on a bad first shot, you just got to definitely take the deep breath and like it's a bit like when you're playing golf, don't turn one bad shot into 3 shots. So like if you have that, that frustration of leaving the 10 pin, don't turn that frustration into missing the 10 pin. Take your time. Definitely dial it back a little bit, get back up, and then just make the spare. So, yeah. That sucks. Don't feel like that. Buy a new ball. It always makes everything better. Do you think the PBA will come back to Carolia? Yes, I think it is going to. Yes. Shined up my reality a couple of weeks back after listening. Definitely a bit of a cheat code. Well, glad it worked out. Do you go for I would probably go for like a 4.5-inch pin on that one, 4.5, 4.75-inch pin on the rip. I wouldn't want to make it too weak because I think you'll end up making it super like skid snap, and that's not really what you want. Yeah, I'd like it. I've actually never been to Canada before, so I'd like it. Yes. Yeah, I think that the magic gem is much closer to the actual gem than it is to the reality check. Here he is. Hustle, rip, and tropical surge. A man amongst men. Am I drilling high differentials to ball if they strung over the thumb, or is it negligible for carry ball motion? Thanks, Jeff. If they flare back around over the thumb from like this side over the thumb, then yes. If you're hitting this side of the thumb, then maybe, or maybe it's just that you just need them to go, with a different layout, like either more like a higher pin or whatever to try and move that bow tie. But yes, I think it'll make a difference if you can get it off the thumb. Yeah, that's fairly true. You can't win a match in one frame, but you can lose it. That's true. No. I mean, for me, Christine, if I was looking for something to replace the phase 3, I would probably look at one of the symmetrical balls, like maybe this new TNT, or I believe Balmo's ball coming out might have a chance in that gap. Also, I would go with something symmetrical. Okay. I mean, maybe Screaming Jital. Hey, Travis, question 14 versus 15. Working with a 14-pound IQ Tour and high road pearl, their RGs and diffs are significantly different from the thoughts and expectations, possible overlap. I still think the high road pearl is going to be longer than the ruby, regardless. I think that the cover on the ruby, even though it says it's the same thing, is a little stronger, a little earlier. So yeah, I don't think they're going to overlap too much, personally. But yeah, you do have to be careful with the numbers when you start drilling outside the 15s. Just trying. It says, other than kicking him off the team, any tips to what to say to a team member who has trouble resetting, refocusing? Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just you just gotta almost shame him into having a good time. Remember, or just take him to one side and just say, like, not everybody's, not everybody's here. You're kind of ruining everybody's night. We're here for a good time. Like, take a chill pill, relax. It's going to be okay. Would be the way I'd go. I mean, we all get pissed off when we bowl. It's the nature of bowling. Hi, always great. I'm a lefty, 14 to 15 miles an hour, low to medium rev. I now use the IQ Tour, a gem, Tour Dynamics. What else would be a good fit? Sounds like you might need something a bit more angular. Maybe a Zen Gold label. I think a Zen Gold label. Those balls are very smooth. I refocus my teammate with a beer and a shot. Well, that's always an option. Chris, is there any bowling guide for learning terms like clean and angular? Like, what does clean mean? Clean means that it skids a lot. I don't actually know a bowling guide for that, but yes. But yeah, clean means that it skids through the front part of the lane more. It doesn't lose its energy. So generally shiny pearl balls are clean. So how do I feel about some bowlers dropping down to 14? For some guys, it works really well. It seems to have worked well for a bunch of the ladies. So it's all about what can allow you to throw the best shots, I think. What's the motion between the goal label and the blackout? The blackout is earlier and is a little, to me, has a quicker transition. So it goes from wanting to go like right to left to more going forward more quickly. The Zen Goal label, with it being a symmetrical ball, is a little more rounded. Even though it'd be what we call angular, it's just a bit more continuous. The blackout is going to make a sharper move and then go a little forward more quickly. Adam says that the Journey has TX16 Pearl Reactive. Like I say, I haven't even seen a sheet on it, so I don't know. Yeah, that would suck. Throwing a gutter ball after throwing a double. So, let's see. If you have any more super chats, send them in. Send them in quickly. I am gonna wrap this up fairly soon. So if you have any more super chats or any super pressing questions, make sure you get them in quickly. JR writes books. Yeah, they're more like pamphlets though. They're not very long. Our guys throwing 16 pounds on tour. A couple of guys. Cooley is one of them. Cooley throws 16. I think Ronnie Russell, but he's kind of gone back and forth quite a bit. In one season, he threw 14, 15, and 16. Marshall Kent threw 16, but I think he might have changed back to 15. It's hard to keep up with some of the guys. They change a lot. That's a good question. I'm feeling like it's probably like somewhat similar to what it was for the wood lanes. I think a bunch of guys thought that they could do no maintenance and then they'd last forever because that was kind of what they were sold, but it doesn't seem like it's working out that way. Mike Heaton said blackout looked a little more angular for me than the gold label. Yeah, I mean, it depends how much oil you bowl on as well. Virtual blackout compared to the dark code, for me, the blackout is more continuous. I think that what we're talking about where it gets forward, I think that the dark code did that a lot for me. It was super angular, but got quickly forward. I think that the energy blackout's a little stronger overall, but it's a little more continuous. Yeah, Cooley has a really high rev rate, and he's he's got kind of a very unique role. After plastic, what's the weakest ball in my arsenal? The two balls that I carry down there are a couple of different Revenants and the Hustle Rip. So, I wish that was true. Right now, the chat revenue, I'm looking dead at it, is $36.41, of which I get about 60%. So, I'm not getting rich quick on it. So, thanks. My dark code is looking to replace the blackout. Yes. Yeah, I think that's going to be as close as you're going to get. I just think you're going to see the blackout being a little stronger. No problem. Thanks, Martin. Sorry, Mike. I've got two screens going. It was distracting. He said, "Thanks for answering the questions. I appreciate you giving back to the community." Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. If I make a couple of bucks doing it, great. It's not. This isn't really changing my life. It's just a bit of fun. So, thanks for your time, Stu. Will you be back Thursday? Yeah, I'll do something on Thursday. Hopefully, Chris is back from vacationing. If he's not, I'll try and figure out getting a guest to come on. I think the phase 2 is pretty great on most things, Adam. Thanks for the super chat and happy birthday again. Yeah, it does. So, well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming out. Thanks for spending your morning with me. Yeah. we will see you again on Thursday. I will yeah, they're not too bad on Amazon. Yeah, I will try and get on to getting Chris's videos up. I'll probably put them up basically both at the same time. But if you get chance, please support the sponsors who support us. Storm Rotogrip, 900 Global, Coolwick Vice, Turbo, 3G Shoes, Bowlers Mart, Firelight Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. With that, I will see you in a couple of days. If you're bowling this week, good luck. Yeah, bowl up a storm. Oh, that was cool. I'd never seen it do that before. All right, take it easy, guys. I'll see you later. Bye now.